Ever notice how history's most powerful figures are rarely seen? Kings cloistered behind palace walls, billionaires who speak little, leaders who vanish at their peak. It's not mystery for mystery's sake or arrogance. It's strategy. What? If I told you that being too visible, too accessible, quietly drains your influence? Today, we're unpacking why silence, scarcity, and selective presence often hold more power than constant visibility. From Machiavelli to modern psychology, from ancient emperors to modern CEOs, we'll explore how strategic absence builds influence. Attraction and yes, sometimes fear. Stick around, because this idea might just change how you move through the world. Machiavelli put it bluntly in The Prince. A man who is esteemed is not easily conspired against. But esteem isn't earned by being constantly available. It's built through distance, through being just out of reach, through the feeling of being missed. Machiavelli knew rulers had to manage their presence carefully, not vanish entirely, but appear only at carefully chosen moments. Overexposure wasn't power, it was a liability. The more people see you, the less they notice. Constant access erodes intrigue, invites criticism, and dulls your influence. Familiarity doesn't just kill mystery, it breeds contempt. But this idea didn't start with Machiavelli. Centuries earlier, Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "The sage stays behind, and thus he is ahead." His philosophy wasn't about dominance. It was about subtlety, restraint, and quiet authority. Power wasn't loud. It didn't clamor for attention. It moved invisibly. The less you do, the more gets done. The less you show up, the more you're remembered. It's a paradox. By withdrawing, you create gravity. By holding back, you pull others in. Stillness isn't passive. It's intentional. Modern psychology echoes this ancient truth. Robert Cialdini's scarcity principle reveals that we value what's rare. We're wired to desire what we can't easily have. The constantly available person gets overlooked. The one who disappears now and then, they gain presence by their absence. You felt this. That always available friend? Eventually, their generosity fades into the background. That coworker, who replies instantly, their time loses value. But the person who sets boundaries, who says no occasionally, who's not always reachable, you notice them when they show up. Their attention feels like a choice, not a given. And with that, respect begins to grow. Power, then, isn't in constant presence, it's in purposeful absence. Let's take a historical example. King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King, understood this masterfully. He made himself the gravitational center of French court life, but personally, he was rarely seen. His presence was choreographed, his words carefully rationed, his time a prize. His distance turned gestures into symbols and glimpses into obsession. The lesson? True power doesn't beg for attention. It commands it by knowing exactly when to disappear. He built his influence not by being everywhere, but by being scarce. Even in the brutal logic of warfare, absence can be a weapon. Take Subotai, the brilliant Mongol general, and one of Genghis Khan's deadliest strategists. He was infamous for making entire armies vanish, melting into the landscape, only to reappear at the perfect moment with overwhelming force. His genius wasn't just in the ambush, it was in the uncertainty. The fear of not knowing where he was or when he'd strike. He didn't just defeat enemies, he haunted them. His power wasn't just in what he did, but in what people imagined he might do. That's the power of invisibility. Now compare that to Napoleon Bonaparte, a man of immense skill and magnetic presence. His first return from exile was dramatic, triumphant. But his second reign, the so-called 100 Days, collapsed almost immediately. Why? Because he came back too soon. The world hadn't had time to forget his flaws. His absence hadn't ripened into myth. Instead of awe, he triggered Memory. He reminded people of his reality, and reality is rarely as powerful as legend. He didn't fall because he lacked brilliance. He fell because he was too familiar. Reverence requires distance. Nietzsche warned, "He who fights with monsters should see to it that he does not become one." But there's a quieter insight beneath that. Too much exposure even to greatness dulls its shine. The more we see something, no matter how extraordinary, the more ordinary it becomes. Icons fade when they're always in your feed. Even gods must retreat to stay divine. Mystery isn't just aesthetic, it's essential. It sustains reverence. It keeps people leaning forward. Think of the artist who vanishes after one unforgettable album. The lover who doesn't flood your phone but lingers in your mind. The leader who waits, then speaks once, and everyone listens. In each case, it's not what they say, but what they withhold that creates weight. The silence between gestures, the space between appearances. That's where tension builds. That's where memory grows. A study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology confirms it. We're more drawn to people who are just slightly less available, not distant enough to seem cold, but rare enough to spark curiosity. That sliver of uncertainty? That's the magnet. Even animals understand this. The alpha wolf doesn't constantly bark or bare its teeth. It doesn't need to. Its power is in its restraint. It appears only when necessary and never when expected. It breaks the pattern, then disappears again. Its silence is a message. Its calm is command. That real power isn't about noise. It's about impact. And the less you use it, the more potent it becomes. For a more poetic example, consider ancient Japan. The samurai revered a concept called yun, a kind of quiet, subtle grace. It wasn't about putting skill on display. It was about what remained hidden, unsaid, unseen. A true warrior didn't need to prove anything. His aura, his restraint, that's what sharpened his edge. In that culture, presence was dangerous. But absence? That was sacred. Absence created myth. And the pattern still holds today. That tech giants like Elon Musk go dark for weeks, then return with a single tweet that rattles entire markets. Beyoncé disappears, then without a word, drops a full visual album that stuns the world. No announcements. No build-up, just impact. They don't chase attention. They orchestrate it. That's the playbook. Even in your personal life, the same principle applies. Text too much, and you dilute your presence. Be constantly available, and your value feels automatic. But introduce space, some resistance, and everything shifts. Interest sharpens. Curiosity rises. You become something to reach for, not something always within reach. Desire feeds on distance. This isn't about manipulation. It's about human nature. And to be clear, absence doesn't mean abandonment. It's not ego. It's not cruelty. It's intentional space. A deliberate pause that lets your presence gain gravity. It's saying, you don't get all of me, not easily, and not for free. That's not coldness, it's clarity. A boundary isn't a wall to shut people out. It's a thrown one that reminds the world what you're worth. This isn't arrogance. It's gravity. So, how do you turn this principle into practice? Start by reclaiming your time. Say no more often without apology. Let some messages go unanswered. Don't feel compelled to explain every decision. Skip the party now and then. Let your absence be noticed. Let the silence speak for you. Because that quiet space, that's not emptiness. It's tension. And tension is where power begins to form. When people start to ask, where is he? Why hasn't she replied? That's the shift. That's when the dynamic flips. You're no longer the one doing the chasing. You've become the one being chased. You've become rare. And in any era, rarity is valued. So don't just show up, arrive. And when you do, make it mean something. Speak less, move with calm intention. Let your presence feel like a moment, not a given. This isn't a game, it's self-respect. You don't owe the world constant access. Treat your presence like a rare currency. The more available you are, the more your worth is taken for granted. But when you're strategically rare, your presence becomes a prize. Here's the truth. Power doesn't perform. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't rush to be seen. Power waits. Power holds its ground. It lets others come to it. So take a step back. Create distance. Let your value echo in the space you leave behind. And when you do show up, own the moment. Because people don't chase what's always in reach. They chase what they might lose. This is Beyond the Surface. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is to disappear. Thanks for watching.